Hey, this is Anney.
And Samantha.
And welcome to Stuff I Never Told You, a production of iHeartRadio. And welcome to another sub segment on fictional women around the world. And actually, I think this is even further sub, because right now we're like full up in Star Wars territory.
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
Yes. Well, we're approaching, and I'm trying to get a bunch of stuff in before the Obi-Wan Kenobi show comes out on Disney+, which is not currently a sponsor, by showcasing some of the badass women of Star Wars. So I apologize, but it's going to be a lot of Star Wars stuff for a little bit. Yeah, and I did think about calling this Fictional Women Around the Galaxy. But I guess I shouldn't mess with the formula too much.
Well, I was thinking about that too. I was like, I guess it's universe, not the world. Because if we're going galactic,
which we are,
then we should be correct in the
right, the terminology.
Yeah, and where it is. And it's not just the world, not the Earth. We're going
That's right.
Beyond.
Beyond. A galaxy far, far away, as they say. And I have to start this with like a correction, because in our recent episode we did on Satine, I said her last name Kurz, which is how I always thought it was pronounced, but it's Kreese, according to something I watched recently. So
how dare you?
Oh, I know. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm letting everybody down.
Give me back one of your outfits. I don't know which one.
No, never. My Disco Luke cosplay is in full like, I am so excited to share this outfit.
I love that every time Star Wars is mentioned, I have heard about Disco Luke.
Oh my
so
gosh.
Often. I'm pretty excited about seeing this too, though.
It's going to look spectacular.
Oh, I'm excited.
Well, in the meantime, we are focusing today on Beru Whitesun Lars. We do have a long-awaited Ahsoka episode coming up because some of you have written in about it. It is coming, I promise. But today, Beru Whitesun Lars. I have read so much amazing fan fiction about her. I really love her. I have a Beru trading card that I just keep. And sometimes I'll look at it like, what would Beru do?
What would Beru do? Interesting.
Yeah. She has a +6. It's like a card, like kind of like Magic the Gathering, but for Star Wars. So she has a +6 buffer. So that's pretty good. Anyway.
No idea what this means.
Yeah, I didn't figure you would. Which, okay, speaking of, also, as we did with Satine, I'm just going to kind of run through this, Samantha. And if you have any questions, I know it's confusing, let me know. This one's less confusing than Satine. That one was a whole thing.
That was a whole thing.
Yeah, it was quite a bit. All right. So if you're like Samantha and you're like, I don't know this name, it's Aunt Beru. It's Luke Skywalker's Aunt Beru, who dies tragically early in A New Hope. Yeah. So this character has been present in every draft of A New Hope. Ever since the first one, there's been some version or another of Beru, and she's always been a defender of Luke Skywalker, whether from Tusken Raiders or from her husband, Owen. She was first portrayed by British actor Sheila Fraser. In the 1981 National Public Radio Star Wars radio drama, she was portrayed by Anne Goretti. Australian actress Bonnie Marie Peace was cast as a young Beru for the prequels, and now in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show.
I was able to make that connection.
You were, and I thought it was Satine. And now you know who Satine is.
Yes.
But yes, you were correct. And I was like, the learner has become the master.
Yes. And I would say that was my one proud moment.
That was awesome. I was like, oh, she's right. That is your skill, though. You were good at the actors and connections.
I got the eyes.
Mm-hmm, you do. Interestingly, in the original ending of Revenge of the Sith, Obi-Wan hands the baby Luke, to Owen, but they reshot it because George Lucas thought it, quote, felt it would be better if Luke were handed over to a woman. I mean, she does care for him more. Anyway, okay. So Beru Whitesun, or Beru Whitesun Lars, was the wife of Owen Lars and guardian to Luke Skywalker. She was a human woman who was born and later died on Tatooine. As a child, Beru was shy and had dreams of opening a restaurant or cafe in Anchorhead, which is on Tatooine, by the way, if you didn't know. This dream took hold after a teacher told her that her blue milk cheese was the best he had ever had. that it was like she was born to make it.
The blue milk cheese.
The blue milk cheese. When she got older, she fell in love with Owen Lars, who was the son of a moisture farmer named Clegg Lars and stepbrother of Jedi Knight Anakin Skywalker. I had such a fun time explaining this to my mom recently because she's like, are they even related? Not technically, no. So Clegg Lars freed Shmi Skywalker, who's Anakin Skywalker's mother, Luke Skywalker's grandmother, and married her. So there's that connection. Beru and Owen started dating in earnest, and by the time we see them in Attack of the Clones, they were solidly together. During the Clone Wars, Shmi was abducted by Tusken Raiders, which drew Anakin to Tatooine in a bid to save her, but he was too late, and he slaughtered the Tusken encampment after his mother died in his arms. At the funeral, Beru served blue milk and cheese. Yeah. Within 3 years of the event, Beru had married Owen and taken on his last name. Clegg died, and the couple, now in ownership of the moisture farm, decided to try for a child, but were met with infertility issues, and they considered going to a fertility droid for help. When the Republic fell and the Empire rose, Obi-Wan Kenobi showed up and tasked them with raising Anakin's child and their nephew, Luke Skywalker. Upon taking him in, Beru told Owen that they were going to raise him as their own. Though they didn't have much, she took every chance she could to spoil him.
She loves him.
Yeah, it's so sweet.
Well, I just remember the scene where she's defending him, trying to leave. And she's like, you can't keep him here all his life.
Anyway,
yeah. Sorry.
She was, no, I love her. So Beru and Owen raised Luke for the next 19 years, and Beru often, he defended Luke in the face of Owen's overprotectiveness and gruffness when it came to Luke's interest. Owen was afraid that Luke would follow in his father's footsteps and become a Jedi Knight, something he was desperate to prevent, hence part of the reason he basically forbade Obi-Wan from seeing Luke, which I'm pretty sure we're going to see play out in the show. Luke's recklessness didn't help. He once tried to take on a slaving gang by himself at the age of 8 and almost got himself kidnapped. At one point, Owen was abducted by the Wookiee bounty hunter Chrysanthemum, who was just in Book of Boba Fett, and there was a big debate about how to pronounce his name, so I hope I got that right.
Is this the one that you really dislike?
No, that's Cad Bane.
Okay.
Had a nightmare about him last night. That's true. That's 100% true.
I believe this.
But yes, Owen was abducted at the behest of Jabba the Hutt for unpaid water taxes. The water taxes and all that whole situation is a whole thing on Tatooine. And Beru went out after him with a rifle, telling Luke to stay put at the homestead. Owen was determined to keep Luke on planet, constantly delaying his attempts to get off Tatooine. But Beru argued that Luke just wasn't a farmer, and they were going to have to let him go eventually. Soon after this conversation, Beru and Owen were killed by Imperial soldiers looking for the droids they'd purchased the day before with the plans to the Death Star. Luke found their burned bodies and home, and it spurred him to leave Tatooine to join with the rebellion. There's a whole thing where Beru is like reflecting on her death. It's kind of strange, as a lot of things are in Star Wars. But she thinks, quote, I really wish Luke hadn't seen that. Then again, if he hadn't, he never would have gone off with old Ben, met the princess, destroyed the Death Star, and saved the galaxy. So I guess things did turn out all right in the end, didn't they? Which is, wow, what a thing to think when you've been burned alive. Yeah.
I'm very confused by that setup.
It's very, it's confusing. I do not argue with that. So while we don't see it in the movies, Luke mourned for them after the Battle of Yavin. That's in the books and comics. And later returned to Obi-Wan's hut and read stories about some of their interactions with them. And because I got to do it, this is what I'm more familiar with. Just to confuse everyone, here's a recap of her in Legends, which again is no longer Disney canon. So it's like Disney is this, Legends what was before Disney.
Again, I think I'll never stop saying I don't understand the canon stuff, but keep going.
A lot of it I don't either, and it's annoying me because they keep picking things from Legends and making it canon, and then I get all confused. Anyway,
this is my head by the way? Who is they who's picking that?
Kind of like Disney higher ups, and I actually learned there's a position for like continuity. I talked about it in Satine episode.
That's right. That sounds like a position you should have.
That's what I'm saying. But then we'd get like much happier endings, surprisingly enough. And then he went and lived happily ever after. We'd never have to see him again.
Don't worry about it. Stop asking questions.
Yeah, he's good.
Stop asking questions.
Exactly. Okay, so it's a similar main story, but in legends, Beru came from a family that had been in moisture farming for 3 generations, and they had a reputation for toughness and a particular disposition for moisture farming. She had 2 siblings, and right before the onset of the Clone Wars, she met Owen Lars and started dating him. She grew close to his family, his father Clegg, and stepmother Shmi Skywalker, who was certain the two would get married. Clegg liked that she could keep up with him in verbal sparring matches, and Beru had many friends. Many of them were women. I feel like I couldn't find this, so this must be like something else, which is called fanon. I could have sworn her family were they're called like singers. They help people escape Tatooine in bad situations on Tatooine. But okay. I didn't find that, even though it's like firmly lodged in my brain that that's what I remember. All right, so in this version, Beru had to convince Owen to take Luke. Like, he didn't want to do it. She had to convince him to do it. They told neighbors. They gave Luke the name Skywalker to honor the memory of Shmi Skywalker. Beru loved Luke. She'd carry him around the farm as a baby in a sling to collect mushrooms, and she would take him with her when she went into Anchorhead to get supplies. She played with him, and they laughed a lot. When he got older, she taught him lessons on compassion and patience. When he was 6, she would sing him these lullabies about the persistence of love. And she did all of this while working on the moisture farm, upkeeping the hydroponics lab, which I like, and finding ways to make roots, the roots she could get her hands on, into creative dishes that would stretch. Because the roots on Tatooine are like, take a machete to them and no, nothing.
Okay.
They're very tough. She had mixed feelings about Kenobi watching them. And he often would offer help, and she didn't know how to feel about that. She didn't want to be indebted to him. She and Owen eventually decided to just kind of ignore him. She later changed her mind, though, deciding Owen was being too hard on Kenobi after he saved Luke from a crate dragon as a child. And this led to an argument between her and Owen, like a frequent argument about it. She and Owen also decided to try and keep all stuff Jedi from Luke, which caused Owen to yell at Luke on several occasions when he would do this Jedi stuff, or he would use the Force, even though he didn't know what that was or what he was doing. Owen grounded Luke for asking questions about his father as well. And this was a point of tension in Beru and Owen's relationship. He lashed out at her on more than one occasion for suggesting they should accept Luke was going to leave one day. She convinced Owen to allow Luke to throw a goodbye dinner for his friend Biggs Darklighter, reminding him he hadn't said goodbye to his stepbrother, Anakin, before he left. She admitted that while she believed that they should let Luke leave, she wanted him to stay too. And here's a divergence. In this version, Luke begged Owen to invite the Jawas so that they could get more droids, with the goal of getting enough that he could leave. And of course, the droids they purchased brought the wrath of the Empire on them. While Luke was gone, stormtroopers arrived and burned the Lars' homestead. They cooperated with the stormtroopers, but Darth Vader ordered them killed and watched as they died over Hollow. Oh my gosh. When Luke found their burnt bodies, he buried them and left with Obi-Wan. He later returned with Leia to give them a proper burial, and he put a pendant depicting Beru when she was young over her burial site. So that's Darth Vader. That's messed up.
That's dark.
That's gruesome. Around and about Tatooine, there were rumors that the Tuskens killed them and Luke, and that also another rumor was that Luke himself killed them. But later, a galactic historian described her as a woman who, quote, helped shape the man that became a galactic hero. And she was well-loved and she was well-remembered. And I love her. I know there's some stuff about her being like too traditionally feminine and quiet, but she has like this like really steady strength and love and kindness. And I've always loved her. I love that fan fiction treats her so well too.
Yeah. I was gonna say, she was pretty dismissed in the franchise. Like, it was so quick that I was like, I think when I first watched it with y'all, I said, wait, they're dead? Wait, is no one gonna process this? Did they kill him? Like, I was so confused, even to the point that you had to, I guess, like, I don't get it. What's happening? I don't get it. Because it was so quickly passed by that I was very confused about what just happened.
It traumatized me as a kid. I couldn't watch that scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. oh gosh, I don't know. I just love her so much. I'm worried. I'm excited and worried about the Kenobi show. As much as I'm building it, I'm nervous, and I hope that they treat
so
her
much
well.
Expectations.
Yeah. Well, I'm generally pretty low key.
It's not just you, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, but I love these characters so much, and I've been kind of burnt before. So I hope that the character is as awesome as I feel in my heart she truly is in the show. Yeah. Yeah, well, that is what I have to say about Beru for now.
I feel like this is a great, thank you for letting me know about her, because again, it was so swept and it was so quick that I was like, what just happened? So this was a nice, okay. But now I can't watch that scene anymore.
It's upsetting. It still gets me.
Yeah.
And I didn't even mention, they knew the danger of taking him in. They knew it was illegal to have a Force-sensitive child and not turn them in. And this was never intended, but now they've made so much material that if Luke had gone and joined the Imperial Academy, he would have had to take the test that proves you're Force-sensitive, and he probably would have been captured or killed. So I don't know. That whole delaying him, please don't leave, please don't leave.
Right.
Oh, jeez.
The whole thing.
So many thoughts. Yes, well, soon I will have the Ahsoka episode. But in the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this one as much as I enjoyed it. And as always, if you have any suggestions, please let us know. You can email us at stuffmediamomstuff@iheartmedia.com. You can find us on Twitter at momstuffpodcast or on Instagram at Stuff I Never Told You. Thanks, as always, to our super producer, Christina.
Thank you, Christina.
And thanks to you for listening. Stuff I Never Told You is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.